welcome to 2025. The first time, well, it's actually been a month since 2025 started, but we're nothing but prompt. We're doing our episode 1 of our 2024 Game of the Episode. Game of the Year. Game of the Episode. There you go. Game of the Year. Every time we do these, we do a slightly different format every time because it just suits what we do and how we do it.
That year's
games-wise, etc. What we played, what we didn't play, what categories we want to keep. They're mostly the same as last year, bar a couple of exceptions. Obviously, first things, there are going to be spoilers. We're going to be talking about stories, we're going to be talking about characters, we're going to probably spoil each other, which is just something a bug to bear we have to deal with when we do this.
Probably me more than you.
You'll probably spoil me more than the other way around, but we'll see.
I'll try and avoid some of the main ones that aren't needed.
We'll try the bigger ones if we can. Avoid the big ones if it's possible, but it might not be. We're going to try and do 5 categories today.
Yep.
Oh, in episode 1. Best game we didn't get time to finish. Best noise. Best new thing. Best surprise. And we'll finish up with best looking game.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to have it all. We're going to try to do this a bit differently. We're going to alternate who presents each category. First up's actually going to be Steve. But first thing before we do that, we need to decide if any of the categories we're going to discuss in today's pod or in today's episode need to be changed in any way. So, we have on the screen the categories for today, and the rest of them for that matter. Oops,
so it should be said that there are a couple of categories that aren't there.
Yes, there are.
Whoa!
I've got to fix something. Decall.
Wonderful. There's a couple of categories that aren't there. We took off best moment because, number one, that was an excruciatingly long process. Largely in part because the way my brain works is I pick up so many dumb little things over the course of playing a game that it just makes the contextualization of those individual moments take ages. And partly then it's like, okay, how do I justify this as quality to you as far as Graham? How do I justify it to the audience? It just ended up taking fucking ages. So we ended up dropping that one. What was the other one we dropped?
Did we drop another one?
I feel like we dropped... I know we had a discussion about dropping... nope, not that.
Let me check. I don't know if we actually.
I'm just looking through our Slick.
I think we discussed.
I can't figure out. I could see here trying to really closely look at it, but it doesn't make for good television. There was at least one more that I think got dropped, but whatever it was, I can't remember. But best moment's the main one that's not there. So there's some time saved.
So last year we had
probably a little bit of redundancy, maybe.
That's the only one we dropped.
Oh, is it?
We discussed dropping others. We haven't got to that.
Oh no, best non-2025 2024 game. We dropped that too.
We didn't have that last year either, so no, we didn't drop that. We didn't have it in 2023 either, so no.
Oh.
We dropped that a couple of years ago, in essence.
I thought we were going to bring it back. But we didn't.
All right, let's cut back to what I was trying to do before. There we go.
There we go.
So let's just bring that back up. There we go. So, as I said, best game we didn't get time to finish. They're the 4 nominees we have so far. We're gonna put them into an ordered list with a top 3, with a winner, 2 runners up, and an honorable mentions for everybody else. That becomes these categories. When it comes to our individual top 10s, which we'll get into in pod 2, they're a bit different format, so we'll get to that when we get to it. But any nominations you want to add to any of the 5 categories for today? We've pretty much done this already, so this is a bit of a dotting I's, crossing T's.
Yeah, I can't think, particularly for this for this first one, I can't think of anything that isn't the 4 games that are already there. When I went through and added it, because I keep a track on the notes in my phone for Game of the Year, there were some I didn't even end up even putting in for certain categories, because I'm just like, this isn't even going to come up, so there's no point.
Yep.
This one was a little bit harder. 3 of the 4 games that are here are games that I've played. 2 of the 4 are games that I quote unquote nominated. One because I've been playing Outlaws. I played it at the start of my holidays, and then I had a stupid little hissy fit. But all 4 of these, like, I don't want to say surprisingly enough.
Let's dive into it.
Yeah, let's get into it.
First category.
So, best game we didn't get time to finish. There are 4 nominees. This is not the actual order we're going to end it in. This is just the process. So we've got Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, Star Wars Outlaws, Astro Bot, and Dragon Age the Veilguard. Now, I have played all 4 of these games. I have finished.
As have I.
Yes, there you go. Oh, wait, have you played some Dragon Age?
That's what's on the list. I added it.
I thought I added it.
Maybe, yeah. I can't remember. I thought I added it because I didn't think it was.
Yeah, I can't remember. But I have finished one of them, and that's Indiana Jones.
All right, cool.
Now, I'm not going to say that automatically disqualifies it.
No, this is the best game because if it's a bit of a tricky one to explain, but it's basically if we didn't get if we finished the best game we didn't get to time to finish for whatever reason. Mine's fairly fucking obvious when we get to my my list.
I can think of 2 reasons for you. One's work.
But it's the game that if we hadn't, even if you had finished it, you can categorically say that if you hadn't finished it, you would have put it in like that's.
Yeah.
It's that sort of a discussion. So it's not necessarily if you finished a game, that's fine. It's more the person who didn't get to finish it.
Yeah.
Versus the person who did finish it can say, yes, you should play that game kind of. It's like the best game you should play. Yes. Sort of thing without actually being
And I would argue that I think there's a definitive top 2. I think it's a fight for number 3.
So I actually think, based on what I've done, I think Dragon Age Veilguard is in the right spot at 4.
Yep.
So we can so if you want to just click on, do you want to just remove him? You'll then flick across to
there he is now.
He's over there.
So I've played about 8 to 10 hours.
Of Veilguard, did you?
Of the Veilguard.
Yep. I've probably paid back.
It's a fucking 50 to 70 hour game. Number 1.
It's a big ass game. Mind you,
it's a big fucking game.
All the games on here are relatively long.
Yes, and that's the other part, is that there's no quote-unquote indie games on this list. They're pretty much all sort of under the AAA umbrella for the most part. And a large part of that is because of how fucking big these games are. I will say, like, number 1, it apparently didn't meet sales expectations, and people on the internet are fucking dumping on this game something cruel, which is fucking ridiculous. Dragon Age is fine.
Yeah, exactly.
It's good.
The first I played of it, I really liked what I played of it. I will go back to it, no doubt. I'll go back to all 4 of these games. It's on the fucking list.
With it being 2025 now and trying to get into 2025 games, I don't know if I'll go back to this or Outlaws.
I'll be going back to it.
Hey?
I'll be going back to it. There's nothing in the 2025 games that's going to make me jump off to those so far. So
yeah. I think right now our problem is order.
I think the order is you drop Astro Bot, Star Wars down 1.
Yep.
And then we decide whether we decide which one of these it is. And I kind of think it is in the right order right now.
I think Indiana Jones is fucking fantastic. I could almost make an argument that if I had finished Astro Bot, it would be higher on a top 10.
Sure.
To the point of it might take number 1.
Oh yeah, Astro Bot's going to get its due these 2
podcasts. Like it has gotten its due across all sorts of Game of the Year awards.
Yep.
I am on the last immediate world, or the last obvious world on the galactical map.
Oh, okay. Yep.
And I've got all the lost levels, or all but 2 of the lost levels I haven't played yet. So I've probably got, I don't know, 5-ish hours maybe left of it. I was playing it while I was getting largely playing it while I was getting the PC upgraded. But there were like, for as good as Indiana Jones is, there were a couple things about it in the back half of it that annoyed me more than what I've felt with Astro so far.
Mm-hmm.
I still think Indiana Jones is fantastic.
You'd flip them, in other words.
I think it is one of... Sorry?
You'd flip them.
I would flip them.
Yeah, so be it. I'm not going to die in a ditch over this. It's not for 4 games. It's not worth.
Yeah. So, I just want to make sure that we're like giving the due of why flip it.
Yeah. No. As you said, you've got more. You've played more of both of those games. You've got more of a wealth of whatever you want to term it. So yeah, you've got more of a knowledge of those games. So.
But Astro is fucking fantastic. Indiana Jones, awesome. Not quite as fantastic as Astro.
Mm-hmm.
But are we ready to finalize?
We are ready to finalize. Click that big green button.
Oh. Check it out. First award. Done. Oh, fuck, we're going to cruise through this. What are you talking about?
Going to be done in an hour.
Fucking just the next category is going to probably take an hour. Fuck me. The best game we didn't get time to finish, Astro Bot on the PlayStation 5. Runners-up being Indiana Jones and the Great Circle and Star Wars Outlaws, with an honorable mention going to Dragon Age The Veilguard.
Alrighty, so now we'll go to the next category, which is Best Noise, which is going to be a little bit trickier to do because obviously it's audio based. So we do have options, so we can link off to YouTube if we need to try and find what noise is in this particular category. So noise is obviously the game itself, like the sound design, voice acting, that sort of thing. Not so much the voice acting per se, because it can be, but not so much. You know, it's the main thing is it's the soundtrack is probably the main emphasis of this category. Plus also the sound design, the effects that happen in the game. So we have the following nominees. Astro Bot. Again, these are just in nomination order. These are not the current or finalised order. So Astro Bot, Turnip Boy Robs a Bank, Anomaly Agent, Lil Guardsman, Pacific Drive, Turbo Kid, Yellow Taxi Goes Vroom, Duck Detective, The Secret Salami, Angerfoot, Banishers, Ghost of New Eden, Thank Goodness You're Here, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, Fear the Spotlight, Call of Duty Black Ops 6, and SteamWorld Heist 2. So first off, we've got 15 nominees. We've got to get rid of essentially 5.
We need to be ruthless.
We need to be pretty ruthless. So which one do you think should drop? I guess let's go back to the beginning. Astro Bot. Let's just quickly talk about Astro Bot. I mean, you obviously played a lot more of it than I have, but the sound design in that game is really, really neat. The soundtrack is fucking
so good.
It's fucking brilliant.
It's so fucking good.
So good. We'll play some when we get. It's going to make the top. I think probably the top 3. I'm guessing at this point.
If it's not, it's going to be super close.
It's going to be super close. It's going to be in the one of the last ones cut. If it's not, so at this point we'll come back to him because we've got more to discuss with him.
Yep.
And also more to. I'll also try and find some audio clips to play with as well.
I didn't even think about that when I put these in. Turnip Boy Robs a Bank, fantastic soundtrack. It can go. It is not going to get a look in this is not quite the Murderer's Row the best looking is.
No.
But this is a Murderer's Row of fantastic fucking soundtracks and game design. Turnip Boy Robs a Bank. They're awesome. Bye.
Double gun. What's the
I
next one?
fucking love the soundtrack for Anomaly Agent.
Right.
It's like that synth wavy sort of dope shit.
Well then, while we're going back to it, go try and find something that can show that off. So, YouTube clips or something like that, and then send me the link.
Yep.
We'll do that.
Lil Guardsman I've got on there largely for the voice acting.
Okay.
Because the voice acting is actually really great.
Okay.
But for as good as that voice acting is, I'll be honest, It ain't gonna make it.
Not going to make it? Alright, well...
No fucking it's not.
We shall remove him for time being. He can come back, though.
Yep. They can come back, but I don't think it will.
No, don't think it will.
Pacific Drive has a really incredible atmosphere created by the sound design, which is like, because of the nature of this post-apocalyptic drive through and basically an irradiated hellhole, it's less about the music, which does come in at points, but it's more about the actual, like, for lack of a better term, it's about the lack of sound more than the soundtrack itself and the way it uses the sparseness to create an atmosphere. That's not going to hold in a category like this, unfortunately. But the sort of overwhelming sort of dread and the voice acting is really well done as well, particularly for the characters that are around you. But yeah, it's unfortunately not going to hold.
Turbo Kid.
Turbo Kid, dope ass soundtrack again, very similar to Anomaly Agent. I don't think the soundtrack is as good as Anomaly Agent. I don't think, like, it's a similar style, but I don't think it's going to hold up. So I think Turbo Kid for now can go. Because again, we need to be ruthless here.
Yellow Taxi goes Vroom.
If anyone's ever played like on a Dreamcast, a Nintendo 64, PlayStation 1, Sega Saturn, that's what that game sounds like. It's like a throwback to the Saturn era. It's fucking cool. Bye. I can't justify putting that in a top 3. We both played this. We both finished this.
Yep.
Music's cool. The voice acting's pretty great.
That's the two sort of things what's on here. The voice acting is pretty top notch. The music's really good. Like, every character is individually, audio, voice acted,
voiced out well, and that voice affects the personality. But if we're looking at audio, like voice acting as audio or qualitatively from an audio perspective, I think there are at least 2 games that come ahead of it.
It ain't gonna fly based on it's gonna do this already with it.
It's neat.
It's neat. It's got some. Really
I didn't like playing it because some of that pissed me off, but looking at it and listening to it was great.
Yep. Angerfoot.
I need to look up the soundtrack for this.
Okay, we'll come back to him
because the music in and of itself, and this Banishers from a voice acting perspective. Holy shit, man! It's fucking fantastic. I love Thank God You're Here, or Thank Goodness You're Here. It's so good. It's way better than it has any right to be. It's that, like, it's so British. But I don't think that so British is really going to save it. Like, it's so fantastic, like, and just the neat little, like, the little British isms and just the jaunty little music that comes up and how very English it is. Matt Berry's one of the voice actors. That alone, no, I was going to say that alone puts it in the top 3, but no. I think it's stronger from a writing perspective than it is orally. For as dope as it is, I don't think it's going to make top 3.
So have you got anything about Banishers, Ghost of Youâ? Is it just purely the voice acting, or is it music as well?
The music is pretty good, but like it's the voice acting and that is super strong in it too.
Alright, we probably just need some sort of maybe a gameplay clip of some sort to get a sense of that.
Yeah, that's what I'm just looking for now. Would have been great if I'd have thought to look this up beforehand.
Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. So the voice acting is brilliant in this game. As you can imagine, it's a AAA title from Machine Head Games, with all of that, with all of those publishers behind it. So you've got Troy Baker as Indiana Jones. We probably should just go and get the full list of people in it. While I'm doing that, I shall scroll down to the next one, and you can talk about Fear in the Spotlight and Call of Duty while I'm doing that.
Fear the Spotlight, a really quite a strong PlayStation era aesthetic to it, both graphically and orally. I think it's got super well done voice acting in a way you don't expect from a game of that tier. It did get released and then unreleased because Annapurna came on as the publisher. So Annapurna putting their weight behind it. There's going to be some like decent voice acting on it, or at least a decent budget behind it. But with what we've got, I cannot see it overcoming what we've got.
Yeah.
R.I.P. Tony Todd. Anyway. So yeah, Fear the Spotlight I don't think is going to make it.
All right, cool. Call of Duty Black Ops.
Call of Duty is largely successful in its audio design, much like PUBG was.
Just the directional audio.
The sort of directional, even like just setting it to headphones, you still get a sense of directionality, both in footsteps, gunshots, and all that sort of stuff. The music's okay. The music's pretty good. There are a couple of licensed songs that come up, which they use pretty well. The campaign, it does have its campaign. The voice acting in the campaign is fine. It's not. It's not going to do it.
No.
I just really like that sound design gameplay wise.
And the last one I've got is SteamWorld Heist II. This is kind of in the same category as Astro Bot for me is.
Yep.
The music is just top notch. We'll play some of it in a moment.
It actually fits really well.
It fits really well with the game itself, the environment, the world they've created. The actual moment-to-moment gameplay stuff is absolutely fine. It's not stand out, but I think the big standout for this game is its soundtrack. So
it's the sound. It's largely the soundtrack. It's not even mission mission soundtrack. It's the soundtrack when you're in the different bars.
Yeah, that's
like cutscenes.
They're just really, really good. So it stays for the time being.
Yeah. All right. That's for a first pass. We've done pretty well.
We've done pretty well there. So let's go back to we'll go back to Astro Bot. Now I need to go and find. Just get me.
I mean, who hasn't heard that theme song already in the last year?
I'll have to get to that in a minute. All right, so let me figure out how to do this. So just vamp for a bit.
All right. So like this, where we're left at now, I think is going to be significantly harder because the games that we've got left, some of them are incredible musically. Some of them are like great musically, but the voice acting is so on point and so well acted, directed, and produced that it really enhances the entire experience. Like you listen to Troy Baker as Harrison Ford, as Indiana Jones. There are very few times where you can actually tell that's fucking Troy Baker.
Exactly.
Like,
it's fucking.
I don't know how he did that. I don't know if he put on a voice, if they ran it through a Harrison Ford fucking processor or something.
Yeah, but I don't think they did. From what I can tell, he was just able to nail it.
That's even more insane.
He was just able to nail the voice because So.
It's a shame that game came out when it did because it's going to miss out on its propers.
It's going
to get the Keeleys next year.
So the other thing we should have mentioned at the top of the show is that for a game to be nominated, it must be released in 2024 calendar.
Which could be its early access release or its 1.0.
Or coming to a new platform in that
yes, that has happened. Yeah, that's right. Luftbrowsers.
Luftbrowsers, and also for this year, one of my games came out on PC.
I think Hotline as well.
But it came out in consoles earlier, a console earlier, several years ago. So,
I've got one that's that case as well in a few categories.
So that's the main, that's their criteria. So calendar release 2024 of any type, as long as you can purchase it. Purchase it if it was released on a platform in 2024, it's eligible for any of these categories.
So there's a few games that we've cut, and
that's why I'm getting back to what you were saying before. Yep. That's why we can talk about it in our game of the year because it was released in 2024, and we don't do our
And
Game
because
of
of
the end of the
when
year, so
we do our game of the year,
we do ours. In
it gives us that opportunity to catch up on, for example, some of those late release games like an Indiana Jones. Because I don't like playing games really close to release because a lot of the time they're buggy and you wait for patches. But yeah. Anyway,
right, I'm gonna.
I think we're in it.
Let's see if we can play this song from Astro Bot. I'm hoping it'll work. Now, just make it a bit quieter.
That's so fucking good.
So that's the main track. It plays.
That's the title screen.
That's the title screen. It's just so
fucking amazing. And like the music in level to level is amazing.
Yeah.
But the design and the sound effects too is fucking fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing that I'm not a big fan of with that game is the fucking controller.
There we go. I was waiting for you to say it.
I just think that's still a gimmick to me.
Yeah, it's a gimmick that's used well here.
I still think it's overdone.
Oh yeah, like if you have your speakers turned up loud enough, the controller audio blends with it really, really well to create a sense of depth to it. If it's turned down, it doesn't.
I'm the opposite. I want it turned down. I think I'm hearing it more than I hear the game stuff, and I don't like that. I think on that controller, it's for me when I've got a fucking good sound system.
Yeah.
That thing's a piece of shit by comparison.
Oh yeah, that's not even a laptop speaker.
That's not even as you say, like it's a tinny piece of crap, really, by comparison to what I've got. And hearing it coming out of that versus coming out of my actual sound system shits me off to no ends. I don't like that about it. Having said that, the actual effects themselves are fucking good. I just wish they're becoming more prominent out of my speaker system, but that's the difference. So here's another.
So good. And just the little squeaks that Astro Bot makes. Fucking great.
Yeah. This is called Spike Bot.
Remember when we asked the question, should Legos talk? And we found out no. How long until we asked the question, should Astro Bot talk?
Yeah, don't know.
No!
We'll play one more. This is called Sucker. It's the Octopus Boss audio.
I've done that last fight.
I don't think I have yet. And this just highlights. This soundtrack is so varied amongst it.
It's very broad. It covers a lot of genres.
But as you were saying earlier, it suits the level that you're playing.
Yeah.
Just perfect. Like it.
I get hell of Splatoon vibes listening to it in this context. You think back to the music that was in Splatoon and all of the different disparate elements that they threw together and somehow made work. It's very much the same as this.
It is a awesome,
fantastic,
awesome soundtrack. So I don't know about you, it's in the top 3. It may even be right where it should be right now. But
I thought the controller sound might be enough to cut it for you.
Not quite enough. Not quite.
Okay.
Everything else is overriding it.
Oh, everything else is so. Like I said, I like the additional little bit of audio depth it gives when my speaker's up loud enough. But anyway.
All right, let's have a look at a Anomaly Mayhem. I was playing this earlier, so I hope it's not too loud. I hope this actually works. We shall see.
I heard it come through when you looked it up. Maybe. Hello? Are you hearing it?
Mm.
All right, great, because I'm not. It's probably coming through in the recording, though, isn't it?
I'm not. I assume it is. Let me just go for.
Oh.
Oh, actually, that won't play audio because it's not. Damn it. All right. It might have come through on the audio. I'm not too sure now. Making this up as we go along, folks. Bear with us.
Live producing, folks. Doing shit on the internet is fucking hard.
No, so that's not playing.
Parts. God fucking damn it.
How can I make? I know what I need to do to make this work, but we'd have to change setup a lot to make it actually work.
Do it.
So,
Like, if you play it on your end, it'll come through on the recording on your end, right?
No, it won't. No, not the way I'm doing it.
Oh. How'd Astro Bot come through then?
I was playing as an actual MP3 file.
Oh. Let me check something. What if the soundtrack was on Spotify? Would that work better?
No, because it's not. It's because I'm playing it through a browser. That's what the problem is.
Oh.
When I'm playing it through a browser, I might be able to do this. Just bear with me a moment. No, it's because I'm doing it through a browser. Oh, when I say I'm doing it through a browser, I'm doing it through a browser on this computer. So tell you what I'm going to do. Let's take a quick break. Right.
Word.
Now. I'm going to fix this because I do want to actually give these games their due. So
yep.
We'll come back in a moment and actually
listen to some bangers.
Listen to some music. So for you it'll be a few seconds. For us it'll probably be 20 minutes while I get my shit together. Back in a moment.
Word.
Alrighty, we've done some technical jiggery-pokery on this end.
Me?
Me.
I didn't do shit!
So, we've now got the way to play some more audio stuff. So first thing we're going to look at is the next game on the list is... so, quick refresh. We've got rid of our winter games. We've got left Astro Bot, Anomaly Agent, Angerfoot, Banishers Ghost of New Eden, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, and SteamWorld Heist II. The second game, number 2, is not that one, it is that one. So I'm just going to play this. Hope this is a recent.
Wait for it. Imagine running through hallways just punching dudes to that.
So this is by a... I'm not even going to try and pronounce this.
I was going to say, come on, have a crack.
Ali Bartokoglu is the closest I'm going to get.
Bartokoglu.
So this track is called Agent 70. Let's go through and pick a random one.
I was going to say, do the dark version of Can't Stop Dancing.
Oh, the dark. Which one?
That one.
Okay. So soundtrack. I can definitely see how this would aid in making you go, oh, gotta go fast.
Fuck yeah. So it's a 2D, it's kind of a side-scrolling beat 'em up.
Okay, yep. Your audio's dropped. Can't hear a word you just said.
Oh, that's not good.
Yeah, you're okay.
Hello?
Yep, that's better. So maybe I think...
That's weird.
I don't know what happened there.
Because it's a 2D beat 'em up, and you're running through hallways to this, and you're just beating the shit out of these dudes. And it's not just, like, mashy. There's a bit of, like, timing and sort of, like, dodging and stuff required. But, god damn it, that music is so fucking good. And then you get... then there's Angerfoot, which is... It's kind of... in a similar way as I Am Your Beast, which I actually forgot to add because that's got some pretty good voice acting in it too. But it's quite loud and almost oppressive, but in a way that just really drives things forward. Oh, it's so fucking good.
That was a track called Slums. 100 Coffees is this one.
They're pretty similar.
Yeah. I guess that would be the only criticism of it, is they are very similar sounding.
Leather socks.
This almost sounds.
I didn't realize how fucking similar. When you put them next to each other like this, I didn't realize how similar it was. Fuck. Like, it's just enough difference to drive it.
I can see how they would be, but yeah, they're just a little bit too similar for me.
I was going to say, at this point, I don't think I can just... Like, because you're just booting doors in and just kicking dudes.
Yeah.
While they just fly all over the place, and it's fucking fantastic. But
so
yeah,
I can imagine the music would have to be somewhat similar from song to song, but that kind of music...
There's like, listening to it like that, there is a similarity to the drive.
Yeah.
But yeah. Whereas Banishers...
This is Banishers Ghosts of New Eden. Thank you to MK Ice and Fire for this gameplay footage that we're going to use. We're going to play for a few minutes here, or minute or so here.
Well.
Jump forward a bit.
Time to leave for good. Call this a fight?
Do you know what I mean? It's like with the music, it's more atmospheric than it is. There's like almost, I don't want to say cinematic quality to it, but it's largely that sound design and voice acting that really is quite. I like the mouth harp here. Boing. Do you want to pause it for 2 seconds?
You did the right thing. Charles
just so I can set up just a little bit of context behind the voices. So it's set early, I think 1800s, with one of the, not the first, but one of the first boats out from England to America. And it finally clicked after years. I figured out what New England is as far as like the place in America, why it's called New England. Because they just wanted England in America. It never clicked for me.
Okay.
So like, that was fun. Yeah, it's fucking weird. So Red has very much a Scottish background. I think Antia has that sort of Jamaican, Caribbean background in England. So you get a bit of the Caribbean back end on her voice, while there's still a bit of English accent to her. And they've come to America to try and investigate this ghostly occurrence, and they're working towards like resolving that, and that takes through the whole 30 hours that I played.
So we'll play a bit longer of this and then go from there.
Yeah.
Friend.
I love you, Red McCraith.
But
But when it comes to ghosts, your heart makes you reckless. It's dangerous.
Were you really about to banish Charles?
That wasn't Charles. That was the ghost of Charles.
Charles Davenport? Our oldest friend, the man who brought us together.
Our friend is dead. His ghost was a danger to his wife. Ghosts only...
So who are the voice actors of those two characters?
That's a good question. Let's have us a look here. Russ Bane is Red. Amaka Okafor is Antia. Amaka Okafor has done Bodies, The Responder. Oh, she was in The Sandman. Weird. She was in Horizon Forbidden West and Jurassic World Evolution. Whereas Russ Bane he's done some game stuff. He was in Peaky Blinders for a spell. Creature Commandos. Well, that's just a random voice. Granite Harbor, Lift, Shetland. So it does they do a really good job on the voice acting front of punctuating the sort of very quiet moments. There are times where it gets a bit louder and a bit more sort of normally conversational. But there's always that inherent sort of doubt in the back of the voice where they're like, there's some shit you're not telling me. And they play that off really, really well.
Alright. So I think based on what we've just done, we could probably remove Angerfoot because it's like...
Angerfoot can come off for as dope as that and banging as that shit is.
It is. Yeah. Alright, so we'll quickly play... So this one of our...
I feel like Anomaly Agent's the fourth one.
I think
it's going to be on the outside looking in.
I think it will be, but let's just play some Indiana Jones footage that I recorded. You won't see the footage, but you'll hear the audio from it, which will hopefully get a sense of what this game does in fact sound like.
I forgot SteamWorld Heist II.
So the footage that you can't see is me just walking through the Vatican area. So this is sort of slightly crowded streets. You've got streetscape noises, that sort of thing.
Fascists.
We've got the enemy, quote unquote, which is the incidental dialogue by people on the street.
What disguise are you wearing in this clip?
I don't know, I can't remember, sorry.
Okay. Because I do like it when they talk to him and he's like, Father.
Yeah. I think it might be before that scene, I think.
Oh, okay.
I think. Scoot forward.
And the fascists try talking to you like they're friends, and you're like, fuck you, bro.
Scoot through this until... what I'll just do is do that. I'll just scoot through until I get to a cutscene. And you'll be able to hear some of the voice acting by Troy Baker in this one, because that's really the highlight.
The cutscenes with Antonio were good.
Yeah. So I've just dropped a body. Which you do a lot of in this game, it must be said.
Yep. I did that a bunch. Or just create piles.
I'll get you out, kid.
There's the first bit, but we're about to go into a little cutscene that will be...
Sydney. That really hurt.
Oh, sir, I didn't mean to, please. Wait. You're not one of them black shirts.
Savage, silly. I'm here to help you, damn it.
Oh, bloody hell, I thought you were sent...
Quiet, kid. They could hear us.
Hi, sir. Sorry, sir.
Oh,
Hold your horses.
You bumbling fuck up.
I need to know where they took that stone fragment.
I didn't see, sir. One of them took it. They called him, Giuseppe. Aye, Giuseppe. 10 to 1 you'll find him at the excavation site.
All right, the way out is clear. You get to Savage without anyone else seeing you, you hear me?
Oh, like a ferret down a rabbit hole, sir.
I think that just that bit alone just proves how much he nailed that voice.
It's super uncanny. It's fucking ridiculous.
It's ridiculous how well he did it.
It's only in super high, like super stressful, like yelling moments that it's not the Harrisonness just like folds back a little.
And you start to hear more of a
but man,
stuff with it. But yeah.
even the acting on Emmerich Voss, man. Have you seen Voss yet?
No.
Oh, particularly later in the game, that dude gets fucking sinister in a way that's like pretty terrifying. Gina is done well. It's just there are times where, particularly trying to solve puzzles, she talks way too much and way too quickly.
Okay, yep.
So it's like, hey, over here, press this. I'm like, shut the fuck up. I'm walking around looking at shit. But yes, and you can tell it's that Lucas thing because you get the little musical interlude almost coming up.
Yeah, so the whole sound is like the game itself. Like as I said, when you're walking through the city, it just sounds really like you're not in a bustling city. They haven't got thousands of people walking around, but you've got enough noise from birds.
It's busy enough
that you can hear them. And then when you do little actions, like all the thumping of an enemy sounds really convincing.
Fucking when you punch someone, man, it sounds fucked.
It sounds really, really, like you are punching somebody. The little, as you said, little musical things that cop in and stuff like that when you're obviously heading to a cutscene is really good. But yeah, I just think that game overall is probably the more overall complete game.
From a presentational perspective, it is one of the strongest overall presentations this year.
Like there's not other than his voice acting, there's not a really high, good, massive.
There's no low.
Yeah, there's no low. There's no real high. Like it's a really even thing, but it's a really high level.
It's even, but qualitatively very high.
Very high.
Even.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I'm going to try and play a couple of tracks from the SteamWorld Heist II soundtrack, and see if these come through. Most of these play when you're in the various bars, and they just suit the game perfectly.
In the morning, I wake up to the sea breeze.
This is so Johnny Cash.
Yeah.
But I sit in the trees. My skin of metal glistens in the sunbeams. Oh, I can feel it, but it radiates through me. As I stand there, my coat blowing and skin reflecting. I sight the small things that make this world.
Like the band they got, it's almost like they formed 10 years ago to do music for this game.
Yeah. Artist is called Steam-Powered Giraffe.
That's the one.
Most of the composing done by David and Michael Bennett. This is the main theme. And it is. I was playing this game earlier today just to remind myself about the game in general. It's going to come up a bit today and tomorrow. Get the podcast too. I was just like, fuck, the music's good in this game. It really is. Really is good.
How much weight are you putting on, for lack of a better term, listenability outside of the game?
I mean, most of the time I'm listening to these soundtracks.
I was going to say, you probably are listening to this.
I'm listening to the. So like over the years, I work from home. I have done for nearly a decade. Most of the time, I'm listening to soundtrack music as my backdrop. So for many years, it was the Ori soundtrack was what I was playing literally every day. The first game, not the second one, but the first game. Currently, the soundtrack I listen to every single day is actually the Ghost Recon Wildlands soundtrack, because I fucking love that soundtrack. Absolutely love that soundtrack.
Okay.
I've listened to that. Let's look at the very first game. Very first one each day I play is that one. If I'm lucky, I get through.
I thought you were about to say Ghost of Tsushima or something,
No,
and that
no.
was
No,
that was not what I was expecting to hear.
Didn't think you would. Didn't think you would. But yeah, I can listen to the soundtrack we just on Astro Bot. I have listened to a little bit of that while I've been working. SteamWorld Heist, I listen to a little bit of that while I'm working. The main just a good soundtrack outside of its context is a good soundtrack regardless. It's just good music regardless. I would lean to me. This list is really it's SteamWorld Heist 2, it's Astro Bot, and a third game. That's what it is for me. And that could be any one of the. I could easily see it being Anomaly Agent.
I don't think Anomaly Agent's going to make it.
You know, all right, have for it to cut it.
For as dope as that is, when I think qualitatively about Banishers and about indie, I think for as dope as that music is, that for lack of a better term, that's all that is. It's dope music. The sound effects on the punches and shit are solid, well put together, well designed. But I think there is a comprehensiveness to both the sound design of Banishers and indie that put it above Anomaly Agent at the very least. This is the part now.
Did you agree with Astro Bot? I'm assuming you do.
Astro Bot, yeah.
Top three.
It's fucking good.
Top three. Just don't say not one. Just yet. Top three.
Astro Bot. See, to me, it would be what's 2 and 3.
Well, to me, based on what I would think, I'd probably say it's Astro Bot in there, in the top 3, along with SteamWorld Heist, and I'd probably lean towards Indiana Jones myself, based on what just had. That overall really solid but really consistent sound design, voice acting, music, that kind of stuff. I mean, it probably is running close, with Banishers for the same reasons, I should imagine. I've only seen and heard enough of what we just played then for Banishers, because I played 8 hours or so of indie. So I mean,
see, for me, I wouldn't have SteamWorld in there.
I just think that music is so fucking good.
Yeah. And this is where it becomes really difficult because, like I said, Banishers has a comprehensiveness with sound design, voice acting, and the music when they use it. It's used relatively sparingly, but they use it well. And the voice acting punctuates the moments in the story so well. Like, part of it is the writing, but part of it is the way it's actually acted and delivered. The fucking ending of that game fucking broke me. And I haven't had that happen years. And this is where some of it is that music. My musical taste obviously is incredibly different from yours. So while I think the music for SteamWorld Heist 2 fits well contextually within the game, I think if you take the game out of that, for me, it's not something I'm going to really get down with or enjoy.
But then none of these would, because your music is so different to anything we're playing here.
Oh, Astro Bot I could sit there and listen to.
Okay, so that were the only ones. I mean, the fact that then think it wouldn't be in the top 3 is a bit bizarre to me, but okay.
That's I'm looking for any reason here, and this is where we're at, and this is the thing. When we cut something, that doesn't mean it's bad.
No, it's still on the. It's still there. It's still listed there.
And that's what I'm trying to. It's like sometimes when you're trying to distill this many, and particularly where we're at now, to a top 3, you're looking for any reason.
But
personally, I think qualitatively Banishers tops SteamWorld Heist 2, but SteamWorld Heist 2 is very strong in its own regard, but it isn't just the strength of the music, whereas Banishers has maybe the music's not quite as good, but the overall oral package is much stronger because of the voice acting, because of the sound design.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the thing. Like, you're comparing, like, yeah, as you say, SteamWorld Heist 2, the soundtrack is just really the only thing. When you're playing the game, it's fairly.
The sound design is fine.
The sound design is fairly right, you could say. Like, it's good. It makes sense. Like, bullets bounce off things. Your things, when you kill enemies, they fall apart and that kind of stuff. They make the soundtrack, the audio from that perspective is just really solid. But it's not a thing you'd say. Oh, you must play this game because of the sound the enemies make when they fall apart is really good. No,
yes,
you're going to say play the game because the soundtrack's really good. But beyond those, I don't know how one moves. Beyond those soundtrack moments inside those pubs, those sort of not even pubs. I think they're all just they're non-mission areas, I guess, for the want of a better term.
Yeah.
That's where that music also is playing. Like, there's a little bit. I think I'm not even really noticing any music playing when you're playing missions. I think there's music playing, if I'm honest.
It's more sort of, again, like a atmospheric music or anything like that. It's like there's a dramatic part that kicks in when alarms kick in and stuff like that.
Yeah, so the sound design when alarms kick in and stuff like that. But
yeah,
I mean, you're not. It's not to the same level as the music is when you're playing in those non-mission areas. So.
And it's one of those unfortunate parts where there's a very clear demarcation, a very clear tier of budget that differentiates.
Absolutely, yeah.
But not like SteamWorld Heist 2 is any low budget game.
No, but it's clearly not on the same level as Indiana Jones.
It is not on the same budget level, even as Banishers. Banishers was published by Nacon, I think.
Yeah.
And that's not a big publisher, but they would have put enough weight behind it to do some put a presentational layer on top of it that SteamWorld is never going to hit.
Never going to hit, and never would be what they're aiming for anyway, because the games
and it wouldn't be what they're aiming for either, because that's not what the SteamWorld franchise has been.
Like, that's the thing. Like, we could best looking. This might come into play again because it looks.
I think I put it down. I might have put it down for best looking.
So it is a really good looking game. So look, I'm happy for it to go, but I think if we're going to make it go, then my compromise for that would be that Indy is number 2.
Yeah, that's fine.
So it's Astro Bot 1, Indiana Jones 2, and Banishers Ghost of Eden, New Eden 3. Should we lock it in, Eddie?
Yeah, sure.
All right, Gil. So, winner of Best Noise for the show.
I love how we barely fucking talked about Astro. We did a little bit.
But it was just so damn good. It didn't need to really be talked about a lot.
I think as well part of it is, anyone who's been paying attention to video games in 2024, particularly the end of year process of video games in 2024, fucking knows about Astro.
Yeah, it's a known property at this point.
It's almost inescapable.
Yeah, so Best Noise winner is Astro Bot. Runners up, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle.
You're about to say Bastion.
I was, for some reason. And Banishers Ghost of New Eden is the second runner up in a range of honourable mentions. Alrighty, so we are on to the next category, which is, I don't know which one it is. Do you want to tell me what it is?
Best New Thing!
Best New Thing. Alright, over to you, Steve.
So, Best New Thing. There is one game that you've got, I think that you might have put in here that I have a slight bone to pick, because when we talk about Best New Thing, we're talking about a game that is not part of an existing franchise. It is something that came out in 2024 that is new IP, not a sequel, not part of a franchise. So with that said, we've got a pretty decent list. I think the list is relatively long, but I'm pretty sure we can hack through it. The Plucky Squire, Magic Archery, Nobody Wants to Die, Minishoot Adventures, Banishers Ghosts of New Eden, Tactical Breach Wizards, Balatro, which is the first time Balatro's actually mentioned so far, 9 Souls, Dungeons of Hinterberg, Duck Detective, The Secret Salami, 64, Sumerian 6, Luma Island, which I didn't think to put in, Prince of Persia, The Lost Crown, Lightyear Frontier, Caravan Sandwich, and a couple of last minute additions because I forgot. I Am Your Beast and I Am Future.
Mm-hmm.
Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown is kind of part of the Prince of Persia franchise, isn't it?
I mean, technically, yes, it is. Yeah. Yeah, okay, so it shouldn't even be in there. So what we're going to do, give me 2 seconds, we'll actually just straight up remove
Oh, we can just move it.
No, it shouldn't. If it's not valid, that's a different thing.
Okay.
So we'll go, give me 2 secs, and it is...
That's the unfortunate part because I wonder if part of that game's downfall was attaching it so hard to Prince of Persia. Had it been its own thing, would it have done maybe better?
Who knows, but yeah, not too sure. If you refresh the
Okay.
page, that will be gone.
Right, cool. What do we fucking start with?
I don't know. Again, we've got to get...
Magic Archery is dope, but it's not going to be a top 3.
No, it probably isn't. No, I don't think it would be. But it like that game, like, I guess the thing we need to probably... This is where we're going to have a little bit of a deep meaningful discussion about what exactly is a best new thing versus the next category, which I think is best surprise. Is that correct?
Yeah, that was a lot shorter though.
It's a lot shorter, but what I'm trying to get at is there can be some crossover between the two.
Of course they can be.
So best surprise for me, the reason why that I found Magic Archery is I was on YouTube one day, and someone who I didn't think was play this kind of game was playing it. I thought that looks really cool. 2 days later, we did.
Is that how that came up?
That's how I found it. So when I think best surprise, which is then obviously is the next category, this is probably
definitionally
this came out of absolute nowhere. We didn't see it at all. So this probably actually.
Or we didn't expect it to be good.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't expect it to be good, and also it just came out of nowhere. It didn't have any coverage at all. It released like Magic Archery. We stumbled across it. We were going to do a 20-minute checkout of it, and we ended up playing the entire thing in an hour. That's what it was, just really that good. So I think actually,
and then I think 4 days later, I played through it to completion.
You played it yourself. So I think this game actually probably doesn't belong here at all, but I'm going to actually add it to best surprise.
I was going to say, did you add it to best surprise?
Yeah, now that I actually thought about this, I'm going to add it to best surprise. You want to remove it from here, and I'll go do that bit.
All right. Nobody wants to die. Magic Archery, dope, but best new thing? Maybe not. Now, the other part of best new thing is it something that, or is it, how much do you take into account? Do you want a part 2? Do you want a sequel? Do you want a franchise out of this? Or is it something that's fucking dope, that's new, not part of an existing franchise, but it stands on its own?
Yeah.
So, nobody wants to die. And I'm not picking it's just because it's next on the list, because number one, I'm pretty sure I've got no fucking chance about moving Plucky Squire anywhere yet.
No chance whatsoever.
So, nobody wants to die. I played through it. I thought it was really good. I heard about it on podcasts and in reviews and a couple other places. I played through it. It's very good. The ending kind of drops the ball a little bit.
Mm-hmm. I'm still playing it. I'm probably...
Do I want a sequel for it, though? I don't know.
Yeah, that's not necessarily a thing to say.
It's not necessarily.
It's a negative thing, but no. As I said, I've not played through its completion yet. I probably played 4 to 5 hours of it. I just got to a section where a big blimp crashes. You do that section.
Yep.
And he comes out and he's nearly arrested by a floating police.
You're about to... you've investigated the entirety of the inside of the blimp?
Yes, and I'm out of that.
Yep.
I've done that bit.
You're about 2/3 of the way.
Okay, so it's relatively short then. Okay, cool.
It is quite short. It's about 8 to 10.
Okay, yep. But yeah, I mean, it's going to come.
We can just move on to the next one, and if you leave it for now, that's fine.
It's going to come up in best looking, I think, as well, for sure.
Oh yes. Minishoot Adventures is fucking awesome. It's basically a dual joystick shooter that's also kind of bullet helly, but also Zelda.
Mm-hmm.
It's so good. I don't want to take it off yet, but if it comes off, it comes off.
Mm-hmm.
For as much as I really, really like Banishers, I think it's more of a hard sell here.
I mean, if you look at the full list, I don't think it's going to make... I can kind of almost nearly pick. I can pick 2 of the top 3.
Okay.
I don't think it would sneak in. I think there are. Well,
I think Banishers might end up making my top 10, perhaps in the lower half of it, because I really dug it.
mm-hmm.
But for a best new thing, and it is a new thing, and it, like, given some parts of the video game business right now, doing a new IP like this, kind of risky. But I don't know if it can make it. Well, I would have it maybe in a top 3, but that would be more selfishness on my part because I think it's great. And it also does stand. I don't think if you were to make a sequel out of this, you would be forcing it.
Okay. Yeah.
I think it's very standalone in the story it tells and all that sort of stuff. Like, yeah.
No, leave it there for now.
Okay.
Leave it there for now.
Tactical Breach Wizards is fucking awesome.
No, you were definitely singing that praises over the last.
This is fucking fantastic. So Balatro.
That's the one I think is going to be the one because you played an absolute bucketload of that.
I have played a lot of this. I played nearly 100 hours of this.
Does it make a top 3 for you? If it doesn't, then that thing I said a second.
I don't think it does. Like, there are games I would put from a best new thing perspective. Like, to an extent, I've somewhat soured on Balatro.
Okay.
Because of its roguelike nature, the inherent repetitiveness and constant failure by pure dumb luck
okay.
kind of bothers me a little bit about it. Like, it would be maybe the 4th or 5th game I would have.
Okay.
In a list like this. So I don't think... I think Balatro's out.
How much you...
Yeah. Trust me, I'm just as surprised as you are.
Yeah, okay.
9 Souls is fucking fantastic. I really dug 9 Souls. I think for a list between the two of us, trying to argue for a search action Metroidvania that is very Sekiro is going to be hard to justify. Because I know that's not your thing. But I think from presentationally, the art style of it, and actually playing it, it plays really, really well. So I'll keep it there for now. Dungeons of Hinterberg. Did you end up playing any of this?
No.
I'm tempted to put it on Best Surprise, but even when we saw it get announced, I'm like, yo! So I don't think it really qualifies there. But I don't think it's going to make a top 3.
Okay.
Sadly, it's very good, but I don't think it's making it. I don't think Duck Detective makes it.
It probably doesn't. Don't remove it just yet. But it probably won't make it. But yeah, I'm probably with you on that one.
64 is super cool.
It probably doesn't make it just because the nature of the game I don't think is really one that can be... I mean, there's a lot...
You sort of do hit much of a wall that has diminishing returns.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's... Yeah. I mean, visually it looks...
That early part is fucking cool.
Yeah, and visually it looks really good. In fact, is that...
It's got a real great look to it.
Is that
anyway?
That should be added. We might just add that to best looking.
To best looking? Yeah, sure. Make that category even harder.
Made that category just even longer. All right.
Sumerian 6.
Yeah, look, this...
I tried it, and I fucking sucked at it, because of course I did.
So this, like... It's a new game. Like, one thing you've got to take out of your head with this is... This is a new game from a new... Not a new stage, but it's a new game based on another existing set of games that are very, very popular, very...
Taking very big, very heavy inspiration.
Very inspiration from it. So it's not new in the new concept, but then a lot of the games aren't that anyway. So you can't...
it's very hard to come across a purely original...
Really new, like brand new game concept, nothing like that's just not a thing that happens these days. So I think at this point it probably wouldn't make it because even though it's a very good one of those, you're going to hear that phrase a lot over the next couple of episodes.
That comes up in every podcast. I would have it ahead of Duck Detective and probably Banishers. I don't know about Banishers, but I would definitely have it ahead of Duck Detective.
Yeah, but therefore I don't think it's going to make top 3. But leave it for now, and we'll come back to it. But I don't think it'll make it.
Little Island's fucking great.
I think Little Island will make it. We're playing that as a series at the moment. It's really, really neat. Like, it's just a fun game to chill out, Like we're playing it co-op. I don't think the co-op is really necessary per se.
No.
You could easily do that on your own. It's a nice game to look at. It's got some decent sound design. The writing is decent enough, if a
Overbearing.
if overbearing. But yeah, it's an.
Did you hear about the earthquake?
Yeah, that's like. I think leave it there for now, but it might eventually might not make it. But
I think Lightyear Frontier is in a similar boat to Luma Island, only worse off because it doesn't have that much content.
It doesn't have the content. So, but I put it on there because it is a game that we did a series on. Well,
it's fucking. I enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it. They've added.
And I tend not to dig much on. I tend to get very overwhelmed in a lot of ways by games like this, which is where when we talk about I Am Future, we'll talk about that. But like, there's just enough of that crafty sort of blueprinty progression to just trigger I'm going to hit trees.
Yeah.
But not enough to make me completely overwhelmed and go, what the fuck do I do?
Yeah, it doesn't have anything like that at all. But yeah, it's not even like it's got less of that than Luma Island does, but still Luma Island, I think, presents that information about what you've got to do and how you do it.
It doesn't present a lot of information, but the way it presents it's a lot more manageable.
It's much more manageable for what Lightyear Frontier is. So I would just remove it at this point. It's not going to make a top 3.
And Lightyear Frontier also has that annoying fuck that keeps talking at you from space.
That is true. So you can remove it just for that below.
Yeah, fuck them. Caravan Sandwich. We both finished it?
We both finished this game, yeah. I think this game is really, really good.
It's really neat.
It's really neat. I'm not sure it's necessarily... It's probably going to make my top 10 somewhere, probably in the low end.
It's not making mine.
But I think it's... For a game that is, like we were saying earlier about a new IP, this is kind of the closest to that, I guess. Like you've got... It's not really now I think about it. But it is really... I mean, I really enjoyed the game. I think the story is probably its strongest part. The gameplay itself...
I think the art and driving the little van around is the strongest part.
I actually think the driving's a pain in the arse in that game, but anyway. I think
I love the driving.
The story is just... I think the story is really good.
Have you got it in best writing?
Yeah, I did. I'm pretty sure I did. Pretty sure I did.
Do you think it will make a top 3?
I don't think it would. No, and I don't think it would. So at this point,
I think the exploring the world and all that sort of stuff is really neat, and it contains it really well in that sort of 4 to 5 hour period of time.
Oh yeah,
and does a good job of that.
Yep.
I think it's just that there are games that are better that are new.
Oh, I'm not saying that at all, but I think it is a very solid game.
Remove?
Yep.
I Am Your Beast is fucking fantastic. Remember Neon White?
Mm-hmm.
How about Neon White, but it's modern military? It's fucking cool. And it's from Strange Scaffolding. Oh, I forgot to put click holding anyway. From Strange Scaffolding, who did El Paso Elsewhere. They release a new game like every 6 months or so.
Mm-hmm.
And I played a bunch of this on stream during the holidays. And it's so good. It's so tight. It's very much Angerfoot, but it's less. It doesn't have the levity that Angerfoot has. Mm-hmm. There's almost a self-seriousness to this because of the nature of the story and that you're trying to escape military special forces. Mm-hmm. And this dude's like, the guy you're playing is like, I'm not coming back. Okay, we're going to send out all of our forces at you to get you. Okay, do it. See what happens. And you just fucking murder everyone. Mm-hmm. And it's just that very much that Neon White of when you put the chain together, it's so satisfying to hit like a really good grade and a really good score because it's like, hit that slide here, jump, punch, throw the weapon, grab it, shoot this dude in the head. And it seems like it could be overwhelming, but it's just enough. It's just narrow enough that you can really hone in on a good run. Mm-hmm. And it makes it so satisfying. More so, Angerfoot's a bit more wide open. Whereas this is very narrow, very focused, and pulls it off very well. I don't want to cut it yet.
I would have thought that comparing to Angerfoot is just feet. Like, it is just, that's the only...
You do get guns in Angerfoot.
Oh, you do actually? Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. And to a point, you need to use the guns because most, at least half of the enemies have various like guns, grenade launchers, shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
But even a grenade launcher gets launched at you, you just kick it back.
Okay.
So, wait, did I put Angerfoot on here? I did not. Now, it wouldn't have made it anyway. I am Future.
Yeah, you added this one. I didn't, which is odd. So
I added it partly because I played a bit of it over the holidays, but I would have thought that it would be a big one for you. Because you played like nearly 60 hours of it.
Not a best new thing, no, to be surprisingly enough.
Okay.
Like, it is a very neat game. It will be on my top 10. It's no doubt about that. But I think compared to what else is on this list, I don't think it would make a top 3. So you can remove that one.
The survival and crafting elements are like that in this because it presents all of them in front of you.
Yeah,
it fucking overwhelmed the shit out of me.
That's sort of the difference between this and Luma Island, which are kind of close-ish. The Luma Island,
I would argue they're very close in a lot of ways.
Luma Island does a ramp up. This just says, here you go, figure it out for yourself. And
here's fucking everything.
Here's
I was like,
no, you can remove that one.
I tried it a couple times. I'm just like, I don't know what. Oh no. Its base gameplay is really quite interesting, but fuck me.
Its story is actually quite intriguing too, actually, which is.
I didn't get far enough in the story to actually.
You've got to get deep into it, but yeah, it is quite an intriguing story, that one.
Okay, we got Plucky Squire, we got Nobody Wants to Die, we got Minishoot Adventures, Banishers, Tactical Breach Wizards, Nine Souls, Duck Detective, Sumerian 6, Luma Island, I Am Your Beast.
Mm-hmm. So,
I don't know if nobody wants. Looking at what we've got, I would probably have at least 3 games ahead of Banishers, to be honest.
Ahead of Banishers?
Ahead of Banishers. I would have Minishoot ahead of Banishers. I would have Tactical Breach Wizards ahead of Banishers, and Nine Souls ahead of Banishers.
You just mentioned Nobody Wants to Die, and I got confused when you said Banishers. Right?
No, I was going to talk about it, then I'm like, no, let's talk about a game I had. So I'm going to remove Banishers. It's fucking fantastic. It likely will be on my top 10, because some other games will be on my top 10 in here too. I think Duck Detective is going to have a hard time getting over a lot of this.
No, I agree with you. Yeah, I think it will too. It's a really neat game, but it's not. Yeah. I'm not going to cope with this one. I think you could probably also remove Sumerian 6. I was
going to say, do you think the influence of the Me games?
I think it is. I think it's. I mean, it is new. Technically speaking, it is new. But I think it just takes so many things from those existing games. Not that they're bad at all, and it's not a bad game. It will be in my top 10. But I think comparing it to the new. Not that they're all in the same sort of boat, I guess. But no, it's not. Just remove it.
But there's not many studios doing those sorts of games.
Well, they are now the only one because Me closed. Yeah. So they are probably the only one. And Me were very quite supportive of what they were doing. So. So you can go ahead and remove him.
Okay.
You can probably also remove. I think you could probably remove Nobody Wants to Die. It'll get a good showing in my top 10. It's going to get a good showing in Best Looking because that game, Jesus, that game.
Running on a UE5, it looks very, very good. And it runs pretty well too.
That game just looks fucking stunning in some cases. So
the unfortunate part is, I don't want to harp on this, but I think the story drops the ball in the last 10%. And there are a couple of finicky elements with the investigative gameplay parts that sort of get in the way a little.
A little bit, I agree with that to the degree. Yeah. All right, you can go.
I think we're in it.
I think we might be. So, what would be? I mean, as I said, we are not getting rid of Plucky Squire. Like, it doesn't have to be number 1.
Yeah. I can perfectly understand that.
It's not going to be. It's a stunning.
Well, if you're about to ask me what would be my top 3, it's Minishoot, Tactical Breach Wizards, Nine Souls.
All right. So of those 3, which one will you drop?
Well, I think we've got it. We've got these 2 here.
Yeah. Okay. So let's go back to.
I think 2. I'm Your Beast. For as much as I really like it, and what it does is very good, I don't think it overcomes the 5 we've got left before it. So that can come off.
And I think Vroom Lime's in the exact same boat.
You don't think it overcomes these 3?
I don't. I mean, I mean, it's a game that we played. So it's one of these games on this list that the other one was Plucky Squire. You played that to completion as well, haven't you?
I finished that.
Yep. We both finished that game. We played basically the same amount of this game because we're playing the same video series together. So, like from that perspective, it's probably got more of a combined. Both of us have got opinions on it stuff, but I don't think based on what these other games as you've talked through it. The funny thing is we haven't talked a lot about Luma Island in the podcast.
Because we haven't been playing it for the podcast. The time we've spent playing it largely has been the holiday break.
It's holiday break, so we've played 3-4 episodes now over the holiday break. Whereas I think from a year, as I said, we played a lot of it this calendar year, being 2025. So I think if it's going to be a 2024 category specifically, which it is, I think Luma Island can be removed, and you then just have to choose which of the other three you get rid of to go into the top two to join Plucky Squire.
Nine Souls is fucking amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't put it above these two.
I could have thought you might have put that because you were
I enjoyed Tactical Breach Wizards at the start, but the more I played of it, holy fucking shit, man.
You got into it big time after you sort of...
It's that XCOM thing, but there's a slightly more puzzly aspect to it, and it's just puzzly enough that I can figure out, for the most part, all of it.
Yeah.
There were a couple of challenges and achievements that I needed to look up, but other than that, fucking good. Does Plucky Squire stay number one? I'm not asking because I want to move it. I'm asking devil's advocate.
I think it is, like, if we talk about best new thing being a new thing, that's it on a nutshell. It's a 2D game combined with a 3D game. Like, it is so different to any other game that's literally on this list. I think it kind of has to be number one.
Okay.
For that reason alone. It's got a lot of other shit going for it, but just when you look at it just from a what the game is perspective, I think
I just wanted to put it out there.
Yeah, that's fine. And I'm also
just to have asked.
Just justifying the answer too.
That's fine. All right, we finalising this bitch?
Yeah, don't use that term, please.
Sorry, my apologies. Finalising this thing?
Yeah, unless you want to... Are you happy with the order? I guess you are if you want to finalise it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, look, if I was to have my druthers, I would have Tactical Breach Wizards at number one.
Sure.
But, like, 2 and 3 doesn't really bother me.
Okay, fair enough. Yep, all right.
Because when you finalise it, like I just did, the runner-ups stay on the same tier.
Yeah.
In the same level.
Yep.
So it doesn't mean anything. Best new thing, the winner is the Plucky Squire. That little wizard reminds me of the wizard from Where's Wally? The cartoon. TV show. Runners-up, Minishoot Adventures and Tactical Breach Wizards. And a gang of honourable mentions, which there could have been a bunch more. But, hey, that's where we're at.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. Next category is...
Best surprise, isn't it?
Best surprise. So this is a category that we actually had a big discussion about.
You've got the just best noise.
How did that come up?
I don't know.
That's a bit weird. Oh, I know why. Bear with me one moment. I just realised it's still...
I did.
Still doing the thing. So back on this one, we actually had a fairly big discussion over our Slack.
Quite robust, it was. Quite robust.
Robust about what exactly best surprise means. Now that might be a bit
and
odd.
whether we're going to do anything with it because we had fuck all.
Because when we had this discussion, you were waiting for your PC to be done. I think is that time that if I recall the timing of it.
I was fucking like because I just couldn't sit and play Astro the whole time. It's not one of those games I don't think you can marathon.
No, I don't think it is. It's 1 or 2 hour chunks at best. I think for that.
Yeah.
Game. So we had a discussion.
I had nothing. Well, not that I didn't have anything else to play, but I was just like, I got nothing else to do.
So what exactly was best surprise? When it comes in terms of a game of the year context. So the idea behind this award is that it is a game that surprises in its release, which is why we've added Magic Archery to it. That came out of nowhere. Now that's a lot of games will do that because thousands of games get released every.
There's so many fucking games coming out
on Steam that to come across something like a little diamond in the rough is common thing, and they can be surprisingly good games. So that's why that's on the
Yeah.
list. But the other thing that another thing that a game can come on this list for is a game like Indiana Jones and the Great Circle gets announced, and we go, oh, that's interesting. How are they gonna pull that off? Is that gonna fall flat on its face? Is it gonna land?
I'm a little bit more. I might have been a little more dismissive of you about Indiana Jones then, because I looked at it when it first announced. I'm like, this is gonna be fucking shit.
Or does it stick the landing? And that's where the surprise comes into it.
Oh yeah.
Now, when we did discuss this initially, we only had 3 nominees in this category. We've
Mm.
now got 5, so it's a bit more of an actual discussion to have. So
Yeah.
our sort of back and forth we had yesterday is kind of a bit mute now because we've actually got some cutting to do.
Not necessarily, because I think
We've got to put it in order.
the way
but we don't have
Yeah.
we didn't. If we had 3 nominations, I wouldn't have bothered with it.
it would have gone.
We wouldn't have bothered. We just would have.
I think part of it as well is like a lot of the games that come out, like Balatro, for example. A lot of people have Balatro as a best surprise. And I didn't have it as a best surprise purely from a perspective of, okay, we may have known nothing about it before its release, but by the time I got my hands on it, there had been so much written, so many reviews about it, so much talked about on podcasts about the strength of it. So by the time I sat down and played it, okay, there was no fucking surprise there.
I mean,
Whereas,
and that's also the same reason why the Plucky Squire is not on this list.
yeah,
'Cause
we saw that and we was like, yo.
We saw trailers of that years ago because it's been developed for quite a long time, that game. And I saw a presentation at, must have been 2023's PAX from one of the developers. And like it was clear that game was going to be really good. Now, it could have been on this list if it had come out and been absolutely dog shit as being a best surprise in the opposite direction. But most
Is that a best surprise?
No, it's a surprise, I guess, but not a best surprise.
Yeah, most surprise.
Most surprise. But so this is more the games that come out and are better than we expected. And also we just find them randomly come across a game like Magic Archery and go, oh shit, this is really neat.
Yeah.
Whether it's short, long, or whatever. But yeah, it's just designed to sort of highlight games that we just didn't see coming, or games that landed.
Like I saw people talk like. Sorry, 'cause when we were talking about this, I looked up a few different articles where a bunch of different websites were doing their game of the year and doing a bunch of, hey, this is the best surprise of the year, and people had Astro Bot on there. I'm like, did you motherfuckers play Astro's Playroom?
Yeah, did anyone play the first
like,
one? Yeah.
Astro Bot coming out and being fucking incredible is not a surprise.
It's not a surprise. Like it's a
Not
really
at all.
It's a really good game, no doubt, but it's not a surprise. It's
Yeah.
a really good game.
I don't think it's even a surprise that if you quadruple Astro's Playroom, it becomes most outlets' game of the year in a year where I think and we've discussed this a little bit, I think 2024 overall for games has been strong. Picking the game of the year has been the hard part because there hasn't been the overwhelm. And part of it is I didn't play Metaphor ReFantagio. And there were like last year I never played Baldur's Gate. So there's those massive games that I never got to, but picking a top 10 is kind of doable. Picking a 1 is, I don't know.
Yeah.
So that'll be fun trying to figure that out between now and tomorrow.
So let's have a look at the nominees for Best Surprise. We have Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, Instruments of Destruction, Helldivers 2 Super Citizen Edition. No, that's just Helldivers 2. I'm not too sure what it's called. That anyway.
Yeah, it's just Helldivers 2. It's just because that was the version of it that I think because I played it on video, so that was what we had in in our version of the database.
Nobody Wants to Die, and Magic Archery.
Yep.
So again,
Take Instruments of Destruction off.
Yeah, I'm surprised you added it. Surprise.
The only reason it's there is because when I got it initially on early access because I'm like, okay, that's a cool little idea. You build shit and then try. I thought it was basically Besiege.
Okay.
Whereas the puzzle of putting together these death machines, building them, and trying to break shit. I'm like, I can maybe try and figure that out. But the campaign being basically, we're dropping you in this vehicle, puzzle out how to break this shit as best as possible. That was the surprise. I didn't realize it was that.
Okay.
So that, I think if people saw the checkout, because can't remember if I played it before we did the checkout or not.
I think you had. Pretty sure you had. Yeah.
But either way, you saw, you could hear me going, oh! Fucking, almost losing my shit over how bustable that stuff is.
Yep.
Helldivers 2.
Helldivers 2. This is a game I did not play at all because it had no appeal to me whatsoever, but
Now,
was
I
it had
played
hell
a
of it
brief
had
amount of.
it had a hell of a year not last year. Let's be
Fuck yeah, it did.
It had a hell of a year for a couple of different reasons, but yeah.
I think I played about an hour or two of the first Helldivers, and because I was trying to play it solo, I just couldn't get anywhere, so I bailed on it. And I was like, look, I played the first Helldivers. I'm sure the Helldivers 2 is going to be great for people who have people to play games with.
Yeah.
As it turned out, a mate of mine from work had already bought it, and I was thinking about it, watching some Nextlander videos of Helldivers 2, and I'm like, yo, you've got Helldivers, don't you? He's like, yeah. I'm like, all right, sweet. If I buy it, you get to play some? And we've played 40 hours in the holidays.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, having someone to play that game with, and by shifting it to a third person, it sort of there's an element of where it changes the actual nature of playing that game.
Because the first one was a
to
top-down
make
shooter,
it,
wasn't it? First one was like a top
yeah,
down shooter. Yeah.
It was dual joystick top down, so it makes it almost more manageable.
Mm-hmm.
Like, does that mean that you're not getting fucked up on, particularly when you start getting up in higher difficulties? Of course it doesn't. You get fucked up hard. I think I've played about between 5 and 8 hours solo, and you will have people just randomly drop in because it'll surface other players' missions on the actual mission selection map, so you can either do your own or drop in on someone. So having people drop in and help you out works out really, really well. Only you can only really do that for me up to difficulty 4. Once you start getting to 5, I mean, we fucked up 5 hard. We got absolutely destroyed. But like that element and the fun it actually is to play while you're just talking shit with a mate of yours, and because within the first 10 minutes of playing that game, my mate was like, "Is that friendly fire?" And then he shot me and killed me. And we both pissed ourselves off. The number of just emergent events that happen that are fucking hilarious. Like, one more quick story is like we were playing with some guy, and he set the fucking dropship off really early, and we were still exploring. So we were like, all right, when we get there, we're gonna fucking kill him. I tried throwing a grenade at him. He figured out what we were doing. He killed us both, took the dropship and fucked off. And then about half an hour later, he dropped into a mission we were doing, sniped us both, and fucked off again. So we were like, hey, we figured it out. And I was like, yeah, nah, we deserve that. Like, I think the year that it's had and the surprise in how successful it was is, to an extent, one part, not what we consider normally, but the extent to which I've gotten into this. Like, I did not think before these holidays started I was going to play 40 plus hours of Helldivers.
No, it certainly wasn't. It wouldn't have been on my cards.
Like, it wasn't on the radar. There we
wasn't
go.
on on our very last episode of the year, we said what the games we're going to try and get to this year before we had this first episode, and that was not on your list. I can pretty much
No. And I was just watching the video and going, this looks really wait a minute. I think you've got it. And we just we pair up. Granted, there's some network fucking bullshit. Like the number of I don't think we can. It's seemingly some crossplay weirdness where we can't get if we get through one mission, we can't get through 2 without the connection being dropped.
So you're on PC, I'm guessing. You're on PC.
I'm on PC. He's on PlayStation.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So there's some crossplay bullshit that's been going on basically since launch that they haven't addressed yet. So if we get rid of it, that'll be one reason why. But it's I'm shocked how much I'm enjoying it. And it's such a good Starship Troopers video game.
Well, I think that's where that's how people have sort of have said it what it is. It's like it's Starship Troopers, that they
and you just have those ridiculous emergent moments of like I'm dropping this turret. Oh shit, it dropped on me. Oh fuck. Which is why you hear about Sony's optioned it as a movie. You know the movie version of Helldivers 2 already exists and it came out in 1998, right?
Yeah, it's called...
Pearl Verhoeven made it.
Yeah, it's called Starship Troopers.
Which is fucking dumb.
Yeah.
So yeah, Helldivers 2 is great. Does it stay? I don't know.
Nobody Wants to Die is the other one. I think this is just because it's a like this game doesn't have combat. It's a very story-driven, very story-heavy game. It's set in a future New York, I'm pretty sure. And I think it's probably going to get more of its due in a best looking category.
The investigative elements are really cool, though. They're a little bit finicky, but they're really cool.
So to explain what you do in this game, I started like you played it early in 2024. You were praised it relatively high. I think you did have some issues.
Yep.
You said had some issues with the ending, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But the mechanics of the game are you're playing as James somebody whose second name escapes me. It is James somebody, and you're basically interacting over very similar to Firewatch from years ago.
It is very
with another character called Sarah, and you're basically investigating a series of crime scenes. They are linked to each
But you're
other.
not supposed to.
You're not supposed to. I'm not going to say any more than that from a sort of story perspective.
I think the story does a good job of setting up why you're not supposed to and shit too.
Yeah. But
it's a little stereotypical in that tip, but
it
still is done well.
Done well. But in terms of the actual mechanics of what you're doing, the reason why the game is called Nobody Wants to Die is you've got, in the world they've created here, you've got the ability to basically inhabit bodies and get them replaced every 100 years or something, I think the sort of thing is.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yes, that's part of the broader narrative context, yes.
Hence why it's called Nobody Wants to Die. And what you...
But it's only rich people.
It's only really rich people that can sort of afford to do it, sort of thing. But the mechanics of when you're doing your investigating, it's not like the Batman thing where you can sort of go into some vision and just sort of start seeing stuff. You've got...
There's a little bit of that.
A little bit of that, but it's not quite that. Like, you'll be able to walk around the environment. It's in first person. Walk around the environment, and you basically interact with certain things that are interactable with, and they're highlighted in with a little icon to go walk up to. And that's pretty much kind of it, really. You walk up to, you press the A button on the controller, and that will do whatever that thing is. It might be examine, might pick up, you might look at it, you might read what's on it and put it back down again. But the big mechanic of it is this reconstruct mechanic.
Yep.
That allows you to basically reconstruct time and go back in time.
Yeah.
And see how a particular, how the body you're looking at, how it got to be that way. Now that might not be just purely that person's A to B endpoint. It might be person B's A to
leads to a C, D, and E.
Yeah, and it goes through multiple. You end up doing multiple reconstruct methods to eventually pull the whole thing together.
I think it ramps that up really well as well.
It does. I mean, I've only done 3 of them so far, I think. Yeah, 3 of them.
Like, they could have thrown the entire suite at you and just gone, here's this complex fucking reconstruction shit, go.
Yeah. So
and you would have been like, and I'm done.
Yeah, so so when you do the reconstruct thing, it's a very quick and easy mini game to activate it and actually enable it. But once you're in it, you can sort of go back and forth in time using I'm using controller, so left.
It's almost a little bit video editing.
It is basically that's what it is. You're going left and right.
It's a little video editing.
You're sort of scrubbing through the footage to find the exact point that the game is highlighting.
It's her story.
Yeah. And then when you dump
were
that,
you satisfied?
And then when you've got that, you've got a little yellow bubble kind of appears in the environment. You walk into that, and that's how you then can sort of progress to the next point. You either do further analysis, or it might be analysis. Analysis is just press a button, hold it down, it tells you what it is. You're not doing anything more than that.
Scans it, yeah.
You're not doing anything more than that. That then leads to the next reconstruct point. You just keep doing that over and over again.
Yep. 6, 7, 8, 9 times in a particular crime scene, and then that thing's complete and you sort of hightail out of it. But you've also got an X-ray little thing that can go through walls and see what's behind it. Yep.
They look at what's inside bodies and say, oh, that person broke 6 ribs, whatever happened to them, caused them, that sort of thing. You've also got so far what I've got is a UV lamp for tracing substances on blood and stuff on the ground.
Yep.
There's 4 things I've got at the moment. One's just holding it. What's the third one? What's the 4th one? I don't think what it is. Anyway, I've got those 2. They're the 2 that are commonly used. So the mechanic of what you're actually doing moment to moment is actually, I kind of enjoy it. It's really interesting just to go.
It's what I wanted Obra Dinn to be.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, okay. Yep.
Because, like, Obra Dinn kind of does a bit of this, but it's much more static, and you don't get given enough information. because you're trying to resolve all of these deaths and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas this, you have a similar investigative mechanic, but you have more tools and you have more of an ability and you can get more information. And it's not like hidden away. You're not having to guess at stuff. If you're not finding things in a certain period of time, it will eventually and quite intelligently highlight certain elements for you and go, look at this. Not automatic when you walk in a fucking cave within 5 seconds.
Yeah.
But it does sort of puzzle it out and go, you're not quite picking what we're wanting you to see. Look at this.
The only thing that can be a little bit finicky with it is that I'm not too bad with the scrubbing controls. I think they're fine. When you walk into some of those bubbles, you go, now what am I looking at? And it doesn't sometimes.
And after a while, it flashes something like the yellow will appear.
Yeah, and sometimes you go, okay, I thought I looked at that and didn't get the prompt, but obviously I missed it too quick or something like that.
I had that a couple times.
So I think that's probably the only negative of that whole mechanic is it can be a little bit picky in finding what you meant to look at to trigger the next thing you meant to do, sort of thing. But I just think the mechanics of the game are really neat, and we'll get into it when we get to best looking in the second pod. But the game, fuck Jesus, it looks really good. Whether it stays on this list, I kind of think it probably does.
Let's talk about Magic Archery first,
because
that's the only other thing. The decision will be, what's our number 4? And for as dope as Magic Archery is, and for as out of nowhere as Magic Archery was, does it make it?
Compared to the other 3 we've got, I don't think it can.
No, I don't think so either. Not because I think the gulf between expectation and actual final quality, that gulf isn't there for Magic Archery.
No, I mean it's the surprise of that game is the fact we knew nothing about it when we went and played it.
Yeah,
that's the surprise of it. So
and it's just one of those surprise little indie games that comes out
and they
gets lost in the shuffle on Steam.
Exactly. So it's not as if there's no expectation management with this one from what they did, because that game just came out one day. The guy basically said, this game's going to be, that's the other thing, it was free. This guy was just basically learning how to put a game out on Steam and put this game out. Okay.
It's a little idle game. It's pretty great.
Pretty great. But compared to
the numbers keep going up.
Yeah, compared to the other 3 games, remaining 3 games, I don't think it will cut it. So
I don't think, for as harsh as that sounds, I don't think it can overcome it.
I don't think it can, because the surprise of, let's go back and look at, so the surprise of Indiana Jones is we did not think that was going to be good. You didn't think
I particularly thought it was going to be fucking garbage, and I've already said that multiple times.
I thought it was going to be good, but it was better than I thought. That's the surprise bit for me. Helldivers 2, again, it's more a surprise that you're actually playing it when you didn't think you would, because it didn't really pick you up through.
I mean, the year it had, the reception, all that sort of stuff, it's not that surprising for me personally.
Yeah.
But to actually, I bounced off that first one super hard because I wasn't playing it with anyone.
Nobody Wants to Die. I just think that game is. How does it? It's just a really good game. Clearly, we've discussed it for a bit, but I think it's a surprise at how well it is.
Yeah.
And it's a new IP. That's the other thing too. Whereas obviously the other 2 are.
It's not something that I remember getting a lot of press or a lot of coverage before it came out.
I don't think it got any sort of coverage to any degree that I saw. So
once it came out, I heard it being talked about in podcasts and that.
Yeah. So do you see a thing where it could be removed and Magic Archery stays?
No.
All right, cool. You should do that.
I think for what Nobody Wants to Die, that gulf between, I heard it, it was mainly one person on one podcast where they really were quite positive on it. I'm like, okay, I'll check this out. And then I played it, and I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, and I'm sort of in.
Whereas Magic Archery, it's basically a flash game, which I'm not going to hold that against it, but a flash idle game that's pretty great.
Yeah, you happy with the order? Indiana Jones 1, Helldivers 2.
Is there an argument to be made that Nobody Wants to Die is actually the better surprise? I thought Indiana Jones was going to be fucking shit.
Yeah, and it wasn't. So how's that?
It wasn't.
I knew it was. I thought it was going to be decent, but it was better than I thought.
Yeah.
So I think it has to be.
I think collectively we didn't have. I had a relatively negative view of it because I'm like, oh, it's just Like, you still have that overwhelming, licensed game. This is going to come out fucking garbage.
Well, and that's the other thing too. Like, it's a licensed game not based on a movie itself. So it's its own self-contained.
And that
story.
trend has been reversing over the last decade or two. It's not like back in the NES or Super NES days where licensed games were always like put out with fuck all effort just to capitalize and cash in. And there's that part where you're like, why aren't Machine Games making fucking Wolfenstein 3?
And they probably are. That's the point. But
that's the net, and yeah, they're probably concepting that and work now that this is out outside of the DLC for it. But
I think it kind of has to be number one based on what you thought it was going to be.
I did not have this. This has been a pattern where I've like we've had this a few times where before a game's come out, I'm like, this is gonna be fucking shit, and then it comes out, and I was like, ooh. Maybe I need to stop being so reactionary.
Maybe you did, yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
So,
I think there's an argument to be made of swapping Helldivers and nobody wants to die, but
think we can, but
it doesn't really matter.
No, it doesn't really matter. I think I'm happy with being where, as you said earlier, the second and third games are on the same level, so that's cool.
Yeah.
Let's lock it in. So, winner of the best surprise is Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. Runners up are Helldivers 2 and Nobody Wants to Die. A couple of more honorable mentions of Magic Archery and Instruments of Destruction. And that is that category done. We're on to our last category of this episode, so I'm going to flick back.
Which actually is best looking.
Best looking, which is going to take a long time to get through, so we'll flick over to that one.
I don't know if it will take that long, to be honest.
We have said that in the last time. Last time I think we had that. We had thought that didn't take that long. So.
Yeah, there's been a couple times over the years where we've gone, this is going to take fucking ages.
Yeah. You're in the category?
Are you swapping it over, or?
Yeah, are you in the category? Just make sure. Yep.
There we go.
Cool.
Okay, best looking game. We've talked about this being a disaster piece most of the year because I think this year, more than almost any other, the complete variety of art styles that have been really appealing and trying to play that off against the technical, the other elements of it, other visual presentational elements, we're just like, how the fuck are we going to figure this out? So we're going to make ourselves figure it out. Yep. We got Plucky Squire, Nobody Wants to Die, Instruments of Destruction, Astro Bot, Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, Tekken 8, Euphoria: The Saga 2, Banishers: Ghosts of New Eden, Minishoot Adventures, Dragon's Dogma 2, Animal Well, Black Myth Wukong, Dungeons of Hinterberg, Neva, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, Helldivers 2, which doesn't have any pictures, but I wouldn't have it there anyway, SteamWorld Heist 2, and 64. We need to be ruthless. I'm going to take Helldivers 2 out, because despite that looking pretty great, there's no pictures there. So
I'm not too sure why that isn't. But,
yeah, probably because it's the Super Citizen Edition. Normally when it's those different editions, it doesn't drag it over. I think Instruments of Destruction, the destructibility stuff is fucking amazing.
Like the physics.
It's a one-trick pony.
It's probably the physics engine. That's probably more best looking technical if you were to break it down into different versions.
To an extent, but I don't think it even made that.
No, it wouldn't. But it's more the technical run rather than the actual.
Like the actual, like the destruction that happens and the explosions and everything else that come up. Man, it's fucking good.
It looks good, but yeah.
And god damn it was fun in the checkout watching my computer tank as we were fucking having shit going off everywhere. It's 2024's teardown. How can you fuck your computer up while watching it blow up? That's out. Astro Bot, I don't think we can take off yet.
I don't think we can. It may not make top 3, but this at the end, but I don't think it can't go.
This is borderline the epitome of best technical to an extent, and the art style on top of it.
Yeah, for sure.
Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown looks very, very good for the sort of game that it is. That 2D search action. The effects stuff it does is really quite interesting. And adds an extra layer of spice on top of it. Does it? I don't think it makes it.
I don't think it does. Leave it there for now. It'll probably be a part of the second cut, but leave it there for now.
Okay.
But I don't think...
Tekken 8. Tekken games look fucking awesome for fucking ages. Running on Unreal Engine. All the lighting effects and everything that happens during fights. The cutscenes in the story mode look really, really great. I mean, look at this shit. It looks awesome. Video games look like this now. Look at that cat. This part weighs it down a little bit. The Tekken, not quite Tekken Force mode, but your little arcade storyline.
Mm-hmm.
The dumb little chibi characters here look kind of stupid, but other than that, it's pretty great.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't think you can get there.
It probably can't, but like it's probably the same level as Lost Prince of Persia.
I would have it above Lost Crown, but it's same category. Yes.
Yeah. So
this looks great, but it ain't making it.
Yeah, leave it for now, but because we'll see what we've got after the first cut.
Euphoria, the Saga 2. Look at this fucking paper craft, like this craft level, like felt stuff going on. And it's got these weird little, like the portraits over on the side that look like those little bead type things that you put down on a plate. And you can do that. You get different craft elements, like this little guy's made out of like felt. You get some cardboardy type looks to it and everything like that. It's so cool, and it's not making it.
Okay, fair enough.
Oh, look at this shit. You get the little jelly type, and then you're wearing a little like cat costume. Oh, I really like that game. Bye. Banishers. Sort of that mid-tier. It's not quite AAA, but it has a great look to it. Particularly the particle effects and everything else that it does. I made use of the F12 screenshot key quite a bit during this game to take pictures for wallpaper. Mm-hmm. The ghosting of Antia as you go through go back, like the different sigils on Red's hand when you're doing different rituals as part of it, and you see the sigils on his hand light up, the particles that come off it, the detail in the clothing, the hair, the scars on the face. There is some really great technical elements there. I don't think it's getting top
leave
three.
It for now. It might be in the second cut, but leave it for now because it is like the video that we played in best noise. It looks really fucking good. Even just
it looks really good.
Not a game I would be playing, but it does look really, really good in terms of the the presentation.
And it does a really good job with lighting and stuff too. Minishoot Adventures is just about a really neat, colourful art style. Like you got the little spaceship and the different environmental features that get in the way. Hey, click there, you fucker. And as you get more abilities and you can traverse more of the land, it does a really good job of presenting readability in the environment without being too obvious about it. Mm-hmm. Like what parts of the environment can you traverse? What parts can't you traverse? The design and the colorful nature of the bullets, despite it being that bullet helly nature, it still has an appealing look to it. Mm-hmm. So I really love the look of it. And even the design as the bosses fall apart as you're doing the damage and you're breaking them and you're seeing parts come off, it's almost a somewhat basic animated art style, but they do such a good job with it. Mm-hmm. I really like the look of it. I can't see this getting in.
No, it probably won't, but
it's neat though.
We've got a lot in the second category of cutting, but anyway.
Dragon's Dogma 2. They used FMV because it was cheaper than fucking graphically designing cooking meat. That alone makes it worth it. This is basically the only time we're going to see Dragon's Dogma 2 on this stuff too. The character models look alright. I don't think they look fantastic. It's more about the open world parts of it that look really, really good. But I don't think it's strong enough to overcome what we've got.
I can't. I would put the Prince of Persia and Banishers of Eden above that sort of stuff. Just
look at this bird getting fucking stabbed. Yeah. Anyway, I've talked enough about Dragon's Dogma. Animal Well is just really, like, to an extent, really creative use of pixel art. Like, it does a really good job of the environmental design. The particle effects that it does and the lighting stuff that it pulls off is done really well. And even the ghosting elements, like with this cat thing here, it does a really good job of like creating a waviness to it. Mm-hmm. I like it. I like the way it looks. I think although it's pretty great where it's just a prize dog.
I think
Pretty basic.
I think this game is unique in its look versus everything else, except for the Plucky Squire being such a unique looking game on its own. But
Yeah.
I think from that alone, I would be keeping it at this point, and I'd probably be removing
Yes.
others ahead of it. But
Fake reflections and the lighting stuff it does, while it's doing pixel art, and pixel art's been done for years,
yeah,
the techniques they employ to put a modern twist on the pixel art, oh, it's so neat. But it still has that sort of vibe of old school video games. Black Myth Wukong is a very good looking Souls-like.
Yep.
Like, there's not much more that really can be said there. It looks really, really nice. I don't think it's getting there.
It probably won't, but leave it for now.
Leave it for now. I really dug the art style of Dungeons of Hinterberg. Particularly the environment. It's all sort of that cel-shaded look, but the environmental design, the way they use the cel-shaded look on the environments is the part that really does it for me. Like, the character models aren't as good, particularly in some of the monsters you fight. But like that skybox, and when you walk up to these sort of portals and stuff like that, has a really fantastic look to it. But again, it's fighting such an uphill battle.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take it off.
Okay.
I think Neva is an incredibly strong top 3.
I think it is too.
It's fucking gorgeous to look at. This is one of those games where back in the, like, if you showed people 20 years ago, this is what video games can look like, they'd be like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
It's very much that Ori style of almost hand-painted environmental. Just the environments in particular that look fucking incredible.
I mean, that shot alone is amazing with that lighting and all that kind of stuff, and like that light effects on there. Yeah, I think it has to remain at this point. It may not make top 3, but it's definitely not a first cut game.
Oh, I don't know. I don't think I can say it. This would. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. Indiana Jones: The Great Circle. It's a fucking AAA video game.
Yeah.
Harrison Ford sure looks like Harrison Ford. Or Troy Baker sure looks like Harrison Ford. And you get the neat little scar on his chin. And like you get the weathered leather effect and everything.
Yeah, but as you said, it's a AAA game, so you would expect it to have a good look to it. So it's not a surprise on that front.
Fuck yeah.
But
No.
it does look really good, and looks really good in motion too. Like you're playing that, a lot of this stuff is, looks really good in motion. So.
SteamWorld Heist 2 is a game that, while I think it looks great, like the lighting and the robot designs and the different character designs, I don't think it can get to a top 3.
No, I don't think it can either. I mean, it's like the SteamWorld world has its look in it, and they've not varied from it. Like they did SteamWorld Build a couple of years back, and it basically looked like this, the same color palette, that kind of stuff. It looks really good. You're not going to make a top 3, but it is a really nice looking game to play. But that stuff, when you're controlling the boat,
the overworld stuff's great.
It's really great, and the colourful and that kind of stuff, it's really neat. It's got we talked about a lot in the audio stuff earlier, but yeah, as I said, I don't think it's going to make a top 3, but it needed to be highlighted how good this game
fucking A, it did. 64 on its, like, when you're first looking at it, you're like, what the fuck is, like, what are you talking about? But that industrial look in the,
like, it just like it looks like a futuristic industrial city. It looks,
and like when you're watching the animation of it all come together and then break apart and everything like that.
The particle effects. I don't think, like that stuff when something collapses and goes into one of those counters up in the corner. It can get overwhelming because this goes, vroom, you go, what the fuck just happened? You picked up 6,000 things in every single one of them, but it does look. It's a really good looking game. I like the look of this game an awful lot.
What the fuck? When the fuck? Oh, I never got this far.
No, I didn't get either. Okay, that's weird.
Jesus Christ. I think visually it can get kind of overwhelming.
Jesus.
What the fuck is that?
Yep. As you can see, we didn't.
Did you get to that point?
No, I didn't. I fell off this game relatively quickly because that is really bizarre looking.
I think the way in which I love that shot. That's great.
Yeah.
But the way in which it gets sort of visually overwhelming to an extent sort of does itself a disservice.
You can do it to a degree, yeah.
Yeah. All right. We getting rid of it?
I think so. Much as I don't really want to, but I can't see it making a top 3 at this point.
No. I think had we gotten further and seen some more of that late game shit.
Maybe if we actually knew what the fuck we're just looking at, we might have gone, oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I think Plucky Squire is almost a lock.
Almost, it has to be a lock, yeah.
It's about as close of a lock as we can get in this category right now.
Yep.
I think Nobody Wants to Die is a very strong contender, as is Astro Bot.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Prince of Persia's getting there.
Yep, I think based on what you've just said, I agree with you, so you can go. I think Tekken 8 is probably in the same category.
It very much is.
Is Banishers in there as well?
For as, there's that. Like, for as incredible as that environmental design and some of that other stuff is, some of the monster design is a little bit rote, and they only they only have about sort of 4 or 5 enemy designs that really come up consistently over the course of the game.
Oh, okay, yep.
And that's probably a function of the scale and the budget, because but you look at that, it's really that environmental graphical design that looks incredible. I think with what we're talking about, like, we've already got these 3 ahead of it. I don't think I might have it over Nobody Wants to Die because there's more of it.
I could see that. I could see that you could put over that. But I'm not sure.
But then we've got Animal Well.
Yeah, I'm not sure it's going to be above other things that I'm now actually technically below it in the list. So
yeah,
I think you could probably cut it for now. We can also, as I said, we can bring it back in. What does that look
Animal Well looks awesome. It does a pretty good job. I mean, I didn't play it there were people who were going nuts over the post-game secret discovery. I did a bit of that as I played through it. I didn't play it past the credits because I'm like, I found what I found. I think anything else I was having to look, if I had to look it up, I didn't want to play more of it because I think the experience I had was a really good, solid, strong experience in and of itself. Trying to go back and Fez or Tunic my way through the rest of it was going to maybe denigrate that experience a little. But with what we've got left, I don't think it can get there.
Probably won't get there, which is sad because it's other than Plucky Squire, its unique look sets it apart.
Maybe we'll leave that for now. We can come back to it.
We can come back to it.
Black Myth is a dope, I think, Unreal Engine Souls-like. Like, look at that shit.
I guess the question is, where does that sit with Nobody Wants to Die? Where does it sit with... Because it looks really good, no doubt about it, but so does Banishers, so does Indiana Jones, so...
It looks really good from that technical level, and the artistic stuff's pretty neat, but I don't think I'd have it above Astro or the Plucky Squire.
I wouldn't, but then does it make third, though? I don't know if it does, because I don't think it's over Indiana Jones. Myself.
Because if we're talking Astro and Plucky Squire, I'm not letting go of Neva just yet.
Yep.
So, Black Myth's out. I really enjoyed playing Black Myth. I liked looking at it, but not as much as some of these other games. Neva, no. Not yet, anyway. Indie, it's a fucking great AAA game.
Yeah, it is. I'm kind of thinking that's the one that can also get removed. I think I would, at this point, I would put Astro Bot, Plucky Squire, and personally with Nobody Wants to Die, but I could see it being Neva above Indiana Jones. That's where I'm at right now. That's the 4 I'm sort of thinking are in that sort of final.
I think Astro really somewhat straddles that artistic and technical line really well.
Yeah, I mean it's
the technical stuff you don't it's not immediately clear, like the reflections and the way the water and the physics-y stuff with the water and the different liquids and stuff work. The technical stuff in Astro is way more hidden than it is in something like Indiana Jones.
Yeah, for sure.
So, all right, you're taking Indy off?
Taking Indy off. I then think in that respect...
It's a fucking hell of a Harrison Ford.
Yeah, hell of a thing to do that. I think Blickbane Wukon's probably got to go for the same reasons.
Black Myth already gone.
That is it? Oh, I'm not refreshing my end.
I took it off before Indy.
Okay, cool. So let's just
Now
look
we're in it.
Now we've got the Plucky Squire, Nobody Wants to Die, Astro Bot, Animal Will, and Neva. I'm just a bit disappointed that the screenshots don't have. Just going to go into Nobody Wants to Die for a second. Just go through those because some of the videos I've taken a video of this to keep it for because I was recording stuff. Fuck, this game looks real good in farts.
Oh fuck yeah!
It's a stunning looking and the way it presents stuff as well. Like it's a sort of noir detective game. So when you come into some of the new locations, it'll put this red writing.
There's an element of Bioshock to it as well.
No, yeah, oh for sure, yes.
Like if Bioshock was made and released in 2024, you'd expect it to kind of look like this.
Yep, absolutely. It looks. Some of the things I was looking at, my jaw dropped when I looked at it. It just looks really, really good. So I don't want to see it go. I'm not too sure. It might be third on the list, but I think it kind of has to make it. But I'm not too sure how we're going to get rid of. Maybe it's. How attached you are to Animal Will at this point?
Not as much as Astro or Neva.
All right, so I reckon maybe remove.
I think it's dope.
Yeah, certainly.
Like,
yeah,
but it's not like it's not necessarily something that hasn't been done before. Not that really disqualifies it, but in a lot of ways, we're clutching at straws to get rid of things. I think it's just a really, really neat pixel art. And when you see it moving, it moves really, really well. There's fluidity to it. Particularly, there's puzzles where you have to direct a water flow from different bouncing things, and the fluidity of that in the particle effects looks really good. But here's the decision. I think Astro and Plucky Squire have to be there.
I think they do.
The decision becomes Nobody Wants to Die or Neva.
I'm leaning towards Neva.
One more thing I'll say about Nobody Wants to Die is that it makes the visual elements so much more an intrinsic part of the game.
Oh, absolutely. Like that.
The investigative stuff.
Yeah.
And the time manipulation.
Yeah, I don't think that game could be set in a different environment or a different world. It just would not work to me. So the environment they've created...
Time-wise, no. Environmentally, yes. To an extent.
Yeah, to an extent, yeah. So I just think... I mean, it looks really fucking good.
Like the character designs, the way the tools animate when they flip out, there's a really intricate look to the way those tools flip out and everything like that.
The other one, See, I think we have if we both think Nobody Wants to Die stays in, then the other one to remove it would be Neva.
What about taking off Plucky Squire?
No, not going to happen. Not going to happen.
I thought I'd just float the question and see what happens.
Just go into it. We haven't really gone into it. Just go into those screenshots.
We haven't.
Yeah.
So this is some of the 3D elements when you pop out of the book. And part of the actual thing about the visuals that make it so compelling is the way in which it transitions so seamlessly from the storybook with its very minimalistic, artistic, hand-drawn style to this really quite detailed 3D environment.
Yeah, like the
and there's a seamlessness to that.
Yeah, like it is instantaneous. It just flips out, flips in. Yeah, it is really impressive. The 3D environment,
like these 3D environments aren't just flat shaded.
No,
like there's technicality to this.
There's depth to them. There's they feel lived in because there are a kid's bedroom, like effectively a kid's room.
Like if you were to talk, like if we go from a pure technical, I guess, detail and things like that, Astro is the least obvious of its technicality.
Yeah, because it's more...
Because the technical stuff with Astro is really under the surface, like the way the grass moves and the particle movements. When you come across those areas where there's just a bunch of fucking jewels there, you hold up, do the spin attack, and they just fly everywhere, and there's no impact on the frame rate. Like the reflection, sometimes there's reflections on Astro's little metallic collar.
Yeah, yeah.
And the way the physics move with the liquid, like I don't know if you've got to it yet, there's a level where you get an ability to become a big fuck off sponge.
No, I haven't got that one. No.
And like you get in water and you grow massive, and then you just go fling a bunch of water at these fire blocks, and puts them out.
Yeah, okay.
So the technicality is way more under the hood and under the surface and less obvious, because you get stuff like this tree guy, and there's detail to it in the individual grass blades, but it's almost like that animated movie style where it seems like on its surface that detail is just enough to cover it and make it look real. You then get the digital elements underneath, which you can't really see, except in certain screenshots. The 3D parts, like looking at this,
it's the sunlight coming through the window, the shadow stuff. It's
and it all, like Plucky Squire does a really good job of balance because of that 2D element, like of looking like a fucking picture book.
It's it's perfect for that sort of stuff.
For what it's trying to do visually, it almost is perfect.
Yeah. Are we dropping Astro Bot? Is that what we're doing?
No.
Are we dropping Neva?
So here's what I'll say. The environmental design in Neva is fucking gorgeous. It is beautiful. The art style around almost everything is fucking fantastic. Watching that little fox run around and be able to pat it and shit like that is cool as shit. I'm not a massive fan of the design of the main character.
Okay.
The Little Red Riding Hood type thing, her legs are a little simplistic. Obviously, that's part of the art style they're going with. They're little more, it's not quite animated detail. Like, you see all these really not, like the leaves have detail to them, but the grass is basically just flat green, which is part of the style they're going with, because when you compare it to, not that one, no, fuck off. Something like this, you see some of the individual elements here. And this one, like in motion, this looks even better because there is an element of animation to the grass and stuff like that. But if we compare, if you're taking it from a holistic perspective, number one, the other three do way more than this does.
Sure.
So that's always going to be its downside. Number two, I think that and the other part, where are they? I'm not as married to these fucking dumb idiots you have to fight. It's kind of like the stuff that comes from, I think, the Rot in Kana.
Okay, yeah.
There's an element of that where it's like these weird black spindly fucking looking things, and they kind of look a bit stupid. Well, all right, saying that is fucking harsh. But in the grand scheme of comparing what we've got,
in the context of our conversation, yeah.
I didn't think this would happen.
I didn't think you'd remove. I thought this was one when you were going to die on that one.
I was married to Neva to an extent. Well, I thought it was fucking incredible. Having played more Astro and seeing more of what it's got on offer,
and now me playing Nobody Wants to Die, that game. Fuck. There's a scene there's a scene I played earlier today where he was sitting on a it's like very similar to the first screenshot in a way. He's sitting on the front of a car and he's overlooking Times Square, and it's just lit up neon lights.
The neon shit that's everywhere and all the lighting.
It's obviously clearly they've got a fucking powerful engine that they're using, which is unreal. So that's not surprising that they can pull this stuff off. But still, they've got to design all that.
But you want to know the weirdest, the most fucked up part of this? They're running Unreal, but you don't get as much of the stuttery hitchiness that you get in other Unreal games.
It's smooth as when you're playing it. There's no doubt. Yeah.
Which is really weird because the amount of hitching and stuttery that you get from even Black Myth has it. Like I don't know. But now,
Yeah.
what about the order?
I think the order is you swap Astro Bot and Nobody Wants to Die and lock it in.
I mean, we've already established that 2 and 3 doesn't really matter.
So that's what I'm thinking. I mean, yeah, I'll just leave it as it is for that matter in that case. I don't think you can not put Plucky Squire first because of that. Like, even go to the second last screenshot.
Oh yeah, the scrolling shooter that you play on the drum is fucking cool as shit.
It's just this. Even the 2D stuff has different element, graphical styles.
Like
to
that.
It. Like that is just perfect for that scene.
Look at these cans stacked here.
Can stacked here. You've got.
I think the first thing I did when I walked in the city was try and knock those cans over.
You've got the pencils stuck in that top left-hand building as well. Like it's. Like, and you got the guy.
And
sitting,
this
the guy,
fucking
this
thing.
guy sitting on that little guy there.
What's that shit called?
Oh, it's got a name and I can't think what it's called. Where the drawing never ends.
I was going to try and make an argument for Astro. I don't think I can.
I'd be very hard to. I mean, it's no doubt it's a heck of a looking game, but I just cannot get past some of this. And
the combination of the 3D elements and that storybook, the 2D very storybook animated shit. Even these parts where it exaggerates shot.
Yeah.
This fucking fight was a bastard too.
Yeah.
The fucking mosquitoes, you asshole.
The thing that the screenshots don't show, and you were talking about it earlier, is that transition animation between 3D and 2D and back and forth. I might see if we can find a video. I mean, did I take a video of this?
I mean, there's plenty of video online that shows this shit
off. If people
off.
want to find what that game looked like when you're transitioning from the 2D to the 3D, or from the
we did a checkout of it.
We did indeed. If you go, when you go from the comic book to the 2D environment. No, I don't actually have a video of that one. And it's so seamless. It just happens. There's a little animation twirly thing from memory, or little sparkle thing happens, and he just pops out.
Sparkle. Yeah. All right, let's finalize it.
Cool.
I did a slight adjustment. It doesn't mean shit, but I put Astro over Nobody Wants to Die.
That's fine. That's what I suggested anyway. So.
Best looking game of 2024, which, in fairness, going into, before that game even came out, we were like, yo.
Yeah, oh yeah.
The Plucky Squire is the best looking game of 2024, followed with runners-up Astro Bot and Nobody Wants to Die, and a graveyard of honorable mentions. And I think that's going to do it for today.
That is it for the first episode of our 2 episodes of the best 2024 games. We'll be back, in a couple of days in podcast time. But for us, tomorrow.
Might be one day, won't it?
We'll go Monday, Wednesday.
Oh, okay.
So on the next podcast, we will do best writing. Effectively, that's best story or writing. Best hand fill.
Best story / writing.
Best story, best writing. Best hand fill. Best new character. Best campaign. We'll then have Steve's top 10, my top 10, and then we'll try and do some sort of ordered list for a site top 10. And that'll wrap us up for the whole for the 2024 game of the year. So that'll do. Thank you for listening. Thank you for our little interlude when we braked off and fixed our little audio one for the best noise category. So that was a 20-minute delay on our side, but nothing for you guys. So
yay!
So thank you for listening to episode 1 of our 2024 Game of the Year double podcast. We'll be back in a couple of days for the podcast episode 2. Until then, thanks for listening and watching, and goodbye.
Bye.